Hi friends, welcome to Partner Time Massage every Tuesday night. Hope you have your quarantine buddy and are ready to work on neck and shoulders. Our neck and shoulders tend to be where we hold a lot of our stress and get really tense and tight, especially if you work at a desk and you're typing. We tend to raise our shoulders up like this subconsciously, not even knowing it, and just hold a lot of tension right in the tops of the shoulders. So we're going to focus on that area specifically. But first we're going to start with a little bit of stretching. So we're going to stretch the neck by doing some neck rolls. So we're just going to start with bringing the head forward and just turning it from side to side. Just drawing a half moon with the top of the head. Nice and slow. And this should feel really nice. Whenever you get to one side, go ahead and take one hand. Let's go a little closer. And place it on the side of the head, and don't pull down, but just use the weight of the arm to just give a nice little stretch. And you can press the opposite hand down into the floor to elongate that side of the neck. And this should feel really nice as well. And then we're going to take the hand and turn the head towards the armpit. So you're turning your face, you're in this position, you're turning your face towards the armpit, and then just placing the hand on the back of the head this time. And again, without pulling, you're just allowing the weight of the arm to bring the head down, and you get a nice stretch here. So this you should feel going down the neck into the back of the shoulder. And this is a really great one as well. All right, let's go ahead and go to the other side. So just tilt the head to the side. Opposite arm goes to the side of the head. And then just gently allow the weight of your arm to stretch out. So this stretch, you feel this right along the whole side of the neck, all the way down into the top of the shoulder. And nice deep breaths. If you oxygenate the bloodstream going to these muscles, it will help the muscle release and relax. Good. Same thing, we're going to shift our head down towards the armpit, and then the hand reaches to the back of the head, and then again, just the weight of the arm pulls the head down for a nice stretch. Opposite arm is pressing down towards the mat to help elongate that stretch. And this stretch you feel more towards the back of the neck, all the way down into the back of the shoulder. All right, go ahead and release that. Shake it out. Okay, so we're gonna get going on the tops of the shoulders like I talked about. So I'm gonna have my partner lie down on your side, facing that way, just like how you were. Scoot towards me. A little bit more. Down. Okay, good. So you're sitting behind your partner. They're lying on their side, facing away from you. You want to make sure that they're not propped up on their arm or hand. So bring your upper body back towards me Yeah, and then just let your head. So I'm actually going to have you scoot down more so they can see your head. Okay, perfect. So you can see he doesn't have his, arm resting or his head resting on his arm. Just the head is just resting on the floor. And I'm going to lift up this arm here, put my arm underneath it, grab at the top of the shoulder, and I'm going to clasp my hands together right at the top of the shoulder, and then just using my body weight, I'm going to lean straight back. And just make sure that your partner is letting their head completely release and relax towards the floor. They're not trying to hold it up. And they should feel a really nice stretch. Does it feel good?
Mm-hmm. Sure does. Mm. On my lapel.
All right, so I'm just adjusting here. Again, hands are clasped right at the top of the shoulder, and then you're just gently pulling the shoulder away from their head. And always check in and make sure that the stretch feels good. We don't want to hurt our partner. And something to always remember when stretching, you want to hold a stretch for at least a minute, if not more. The reason being, whenever we're stretching, we're trying to create muscle memory of that stretch. If you stretch for less than a minute, the cells in the muscle don't have enough time to gain muscle memory. So you come out of the stretch and the muscle doesn't even remember the stretch, and you don't get the long-term effects from it. So if you stretch for a minute or more, you get that long-term release in the muscle. So that's probably about a minute. Now I'm going to hold the top of the shoulder with my hand here, take my other hand, and just kind of playing the piano with my fingers, play the piano right on the top of the shoulder. And this, with a lot of folks, this will feel like this muscle going down along the neck into the top of the shoulder will feel really tight, like a bass string. So you kind of want to just play the bass. You can either use your fingers or the thumb. And whenever you come across really tight muscles, and forgive me for those of you who've been watching my videos for the past couple weeks, I do have to repeat myself. Whenever you're dealing with really tight muscles or a trigger point, a knot in the muscle, you don't want to dig or rub or cause a lot of friction, because although we kind of think of doing that when we're massaging, it can actually cause more harm than good. It can cause microscopic tearing to the tissue and cause inflammation. So we want to avoid inflammation, and how we do that is, instead of rubbing or causing a lot of friction, we want to just hold deep, constant pressure. And if your partner takes really deep breaths while you're holding deep, constant pressure, the oxygenated blood will go to that muscle and help it relax and release faster than if you were just digging at it. So he's got a really tight muscle right here. I'm just taking my thumb and placing it right on top of that tight muscle. Again, it feels like a bass string. And I'm just holding constant pressure. No rubbing, no friction. And he's taking some deep breaths. And depending on how stubborn the muscle is, you might have to hold the pressure for a little while, but most of the time, in just like 30 seconds or so, you'll feel the muscle start to melt. And that's exactly what's happening here. So I'm going to move on. I'm going to use my fingers this time and just kind of walk them up along the side of the neck. And I found another really tight spot. So I'm just going to use the tips of my fingers and hold deep, constant pressure right on that tight spot. And it's slowly starting to melt. These muscles in here are really stubborn. Like I said, they hold most of our tension and stress. So you're going to have to be patient with them and really give them the time to melt and relax. All right, that's good. So now I'm going to take that arm and just allow it to fall forward. So I know you can't see him, but basically it's just falling straight forward like so. And that gives me access to the outside of his shoulder blade here. So that's what I want to work. I want to take my 2 thumbs, and I'm just doing this motion here, right on the outside of the shoulder blade. And this area, especially for folks who use their hands a lot, you're going to find some knots or trigger points in there. And a trigger point it's basically just a point in the muscle that impinges the nerve and causes pain. So it's going to trigger them. It's going to trigger pain in the person that has the trigger point. And something that I have learned over the years is the ability to find trigger points in people's bodies. I know where they all are. And it may take a few times of working on your partner to get to know where their trigger points are, but you'll definitely get to know, and communicating between you and your partner will help you find those as well. So I definitely found one. That's why I'm just holding constant pressure with my thumb. And he's taking some deep breaths. And I can feel it melt. So I'm going to move around. You might ask, well, what does a trigger point feel like? Sometimes your partner more than likely will tell you, ooh, ouch, that I can feel something there. But sometimes they won't. And you'll feel something whereas your partner won't feel it. Sometimes you'll feel like, a knot, like a gathering of tissue. And when you place that deep constant pressure on it, you'll feel that as it melts and you are able to sink a little deeper into the muscle, then it triggers your partner and they're like, oh gosh, ouch, that hurts now. So again, it's just practice, getting to know the body, both you and your partner. Body awareness is a huge part of this. So really, really good for you to get in touch with your body, connect the mind and the body, so that you know more about what's going on in your body and you can catch, dysfunction early and treat it early and not have as much pain or as many complications. So I'm going to change to my fingertips, and I'm just going to do little circles all around that meaty part of the shoulder blade. And that feels a lot better. Typically people will naturally move away from you. Make sure that you bring your partner back close to you so that you're not having to reach or shift your body. Good body mechanics is important for all massage therapists, so we don't hurt ourselves. Now, if your partner can handle deep tissue work, some folks don't like it or it's just too much for them. I wouldn't recommend using the elbow, but if you have someone that's used to deep tissue work, you can use the elbow. And again, make sure their arm is straight out. And you find, that trigger point, that spot, that knot, and you just apply the elbow. Take the other hand and hold their shoulder in place, because again, they're going to try to move or you're going to kind of push them away. Hold them in place and then just gently lean. So I'm not cranking down on them like wrestler style. I'm just putting a little pressure and then leaning into my elbow with my body weight. And that feels good. All right, so now, have you scoot towards me a little more? No. Towards, yeah, there you go. Okay. So now I want to move on to the rhomboid area, or the area between the spine and the shoulder blade. This is usually in folks, this is full of a lot of trigger points, knots. Some people have, like, they've named the knot back there because they've had it since they were kids. And Chris is one of those people. You scoot your bum back towards me. There you go. So what you want to do is you want to kind of frame the shoulder blade with your hands, just like I've done here. And what that tells you, or what that allows you to kind of visualize, is the area that you want to work. So it's kind of it's like the shape of my hand, this L shape is the shape of the shoulder blade, and where my hand is framing, that's the muscle, that's the rhomboid muscle that I want to work on. So I'm going to start by just using my 2 fingertips here. I'm just going to move along that area I just framed with my hand. And right now I'm just palpating the area. So I'm just feeling for, again, the gathering of tissue, the knots, the nodules, you know. And it feels better in here than it typically does. So that's a good thing. But there is this famous spot that he's had most of his life. So I'm going to just get on that spot with my 2 fingers, my fingertips, and just hold constant pressure on them. I'm going to ask him to take some deep breaths. And the breath is so powerful. As soon as they start breathing deeply, you will feel the muscle just melting like butter underneath your hand. It's incredible. Awesome. That did it. So now I'm going to just take my fingers and I'm going to kind of outline the shoulder blade and get kind of underneath it. So I'm going to shift my hand and kind of just get underneath there. Now, everyone's body is different, obviously. Some of us, you can outline the bones a lot easier than on others. So you just work with your partner however it's best for them. So I'm just literally like kind of outlining the whole shoulder blade here, going along all that tissue, all the way around, up into the side of the armpit here. And now I'm going to travel along the spine and make sure that feels good in there. Okay, so I found a spot right at C7, or the very last cervical vertebrae, right here at the base of his neck. And I'm just going to take my 2 fingers and hold that spot, deep pressure, and ask him to take some breaths. I think one more breath and it's going to melt away. And there it goes. And so whenever someone has a lot of trigger points and you've done this deep tissue work on them, I like to just kind of do a really light pressure friction move like this. So it's not deep tissue friction, it's just light on the surface friction. And what this does is it moves that lactic acid out into the bloodstream so that the body can then flush it out. Because all these knots, trigger points, tight muscles are holding on to toxins, lactic acid and other biotoxins. So we want to move those out of the body. How's it feeling?
Great.
Good.
So good.
All right, one last area I want to pay attention to is the the occiput, sorry, or the suboccipital muscles here, right at the base of your skull, back in the neck. You want to pay attention to that area because we hold a lot of tension there. And those muscles are really, they hold a lot of our proprioceptive nerves. And our proprioceptive nerves are they're responsible for us walking upright and our balance and our ability to not stumble around, basically. And so you want to pay attention to this area and release any tension that's in this area. So I'm literally just using my thumb and I'm just feeling right along the edge of the skull bone, right where the head and neck meet. And do you feel tension here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lots of tension here in folks. So again, you're going to find a tight spot, and they may flinch whenever you hit a spot, and that's an indication you need to do that deep constant pressure. So that's what I'm doing here with my thumb. And take a couple deep breaths for me. Good. That melted it right away, and so I'm just going to feel around for any more tight spots. And that feels pretty good. So for time's sake, we're not going to do the other side. I'll allow you to do the same thing we just did on the other arm or the other neck and shoulder, and then switch with your partner so that you both get the work. I hope that you enjoyed this. And next week we will focus on low back, hips, and upper legs. And every week we'll do a different body part until we do the whole body. If you want a whole body workout today or Thai massage session today, you can go to my YouTube channel, which is Karmic Healing Retreats, and I have an 1.5-hour session going from head to toe, as well as self-massage video on there, which is also full body. So we do this every Tuesday night. Hope you can join us next week. I will also have this video on my YouTube channel, and I just want to let you know that tomorrow night I have a brand new class that I'm starting. It's going to be meditative breath work, which is such an important practice to have, especially right now when we're dealing with a virus that affects the lungs. Really important to learn how to breathe using the entire lungs, your full lung capacity, and also your diaphragm, so diaphragmatic breathing. I teach you lots of techniques that just help release tension and stress and anxiety in the body using the breath, as well as utilizing the diaphragm and your full lung capacity. And I hope that you'll join me. That's tomorrow night at 6. And then Thursday nights at 6, I do the self-massage. So if you're home alone, join me with that. We use tools that you find around the house, and it's a really good time. Thanks again, and I hope to see you again.